to the Django Brew podcast. This is Adam, and with me is Sankita, as
Hello.
always.
Hi, everyone. Hello, Djangoristas.
And this is our fourth episode, but with a 0 index, I think, right?
Yeah, so this is our 5th episode, but episode 4.
Well, that's complicated. Why do we do that
I
to
don't
ourselves?
know. I don't know whose smart idea was it to do it like this.
We can't stop ourselves from overcomplicating things.
Yeah, exactly.
What have we been doing with our lives?
I don't know. Where have you been, Adam?
Just like hanging out. I think our last recording was before the summer, maybe?
Yep.
So it's been a while, but we had the summer there, and then I think maybe you went to a DjangoCon?
Yeah, I think, I might have.
Yeah.
Yes, I did.
What else have we been doing? What have you been doing?
Yeah, well, I think this summer for me was pretty quiet, pretty chill. Work was kind of a lot this summer, so I think I didn't go on any vacations or anything. I did do some staycations because I needed some time just to, catch up on some Netflix shows and just,
Nice.
Not go anywhere. So I did some of that and it was fun. It was just what I needed.
Nice.
What about you?
I don't believe in staycations.
Oh, really? Why?
I don't know. When we vacation, it's like going somewhere and going all out. So
Yeah.
this summer we went to Denmark and
Oh,
we
wow.
went to Copenhagen and traveled around. Went to the Legoland that's in Billund. But yeah, when we go on vacation, it's like gonna go somewhere, gonna walk a lot, gonna see as much as we can.
It's like a packed trip.
But I should probably try a staycation maybe
Yeah.
once or twice and see how it goes.
I think so because I don't think there's any shame in taking a week off and just staying at home and catching up on errands or catching up on even side projects too. Because sometimes you're working all the time and the weekend isn't enough to really spend time on these extra outside work things. So that's why I believe in staycations. But
Yeah.
I should probably take vacations a little more too.
Well, it's like we're on the extreme. So maybe
Yeah.
we should just there should be a middle
Yeah.
ground
Or
for both
alternate.
of us.
So you take a staycation and then next time you do a vacation and then you just
That's the way to do it.
yeah. So in Denmark, did you buy any of those Denmark Danish cookies?
They're like butter cookies. We
Yeah,
saw them
yeah.
everywhere. But I didn't get any. But we did get so many pastries. Everywhere there's cinnamon rolls and there's
Wow.
not Danishes like what Americans would think of as a Danish,
Yeah.
but it's they're pastries and croissants and stuff.
Oh
It
my
was
God.
so good. It was amazing. So
Wow.
that's what we ate a lot of. We didn't take any tins home though,
Okay,
unfortunately.
okay. So over the summer, I experimented with a couple iced coffee recipes and I found one that was really interesting to make. It's called the Dalgona coffee. Have you ever heard of that type of coffee, Adam?
It sounds like a D&D character.
Yeah.
It sounds like a dragon from Game of Thrones.
Oh, really? Well, it's clear that you haven't watched Game of Thrones. So Dalgona is a candy that they make in Korea. And this coffee is coined after that candy because I think there is a South Korean actor that said that this coffee tastes a lot like the Dalgona candy. So it was coined after this type of candy. The way you make it is that you whisk together instant coffee, sugar, and a little bit of water. And then it just becomes this magic foam. So you take it and you just serve it on top of iced milk. And that's basically, and you mix it up and you drink it. And it's delicious.
That does sound good. What kind of instant coffee did you use for it?
I didn't have instant coffee, so I went to the grocery store and I bought a Taster's Choice
Folgers
Folgers one of those. So it was good. I do want to try it on maybe more high-end instant coffees.
fancy.
Yeah.
Is there fancy instant coffee?
I have no idea. So speaking of Dalgona, I think a lot of viewers who have watched Squid Game would recognize the word Dalgona. Have you watched Squid Game before?
Yes, I did watch Squid Game. It was 3 years ago because
Okay,
it's been
yeah.
out for a while, right?
Yeah, but actually the second season is coming out this year, December
gonna watch it.
2024.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm excited.
But I don't remember any Dalgona thing in Squid Game. What was it?
Yeah, it was. So I don't want to spoil it for people, but it's 3
It's
years
been out.
It's been
Yeah.
it's been out.
Give
Okay.
us a spoiler alert.
So So one of the games in Squid Game was to trace a shape out of the Dalgona candy. So the shapes were like the umbrella. Was it the umbrella? Yeah, I think the umbrella, triangle, and a circle. And
Mm,
so that particular episode, that was where they brought in Dalgona.
gotcha. Is that a kids game in Korea normally?
I
Because
don't.
all of them are kids games, right?
Yeah. Well,
Except
except
for the
the
killing.
yeah. Except for the walking over the glass or not glass part. Remember that?
No, I don't even remember that
Remember
one.
that was like the last second to last game where
Oh,
they were like,
yes. I know what you're talking about. It was like really high
yeah,
up.
yeah, that's a kids game for sure.
Yeah. I mean, kids love to walk on
Yeah.
high glass bridges
Yeah,
that may or may not crack.
yeah, yeah.
God,
That's
that was a
it was a dark show.
it was an intense show.
It was very intense. Yeah,
And I never watched it, and it was your fault that
it was my
that
fault.
I watched
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
So
thanks.
you're welcome, I
Yeah.
guess. I do like the plot with the police officer.
hmm
I like that like side story
hmm
plot. That was really interesting.
I mean, I assume that the next season is kind of gonna be. They kind of left it on a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
sort of.
I've watched the trailer, so I kind of have a sense of what's going to happen.
I am not a
I
fan
don't
of
wanna
trailers.
Okay, I don't want to spoil it for you
Don't.
then, so I'm not going to tell
Don't.
you. Okay.
Don't tell me about the trailer. I don't like watching trailers.
Really?
No. When I
Oh.
go to the movies, I don't. I try not to watch the
Oh
trailers.
wow. Okay. So what do you do then? You just close your eyes,
Yeah.
put on earplugs.
And then I say la 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 to myself
Okay.
over and over again.
I bet that's really effective.
Yeah, people love it when they're sitting next to me. It's great.
Okay.
Well, I mean, trailers.
Sometimes they can give
Ruin
away
it.
the whole movie. Yeah.
It's like I saw all this already in the trailer.
But also, you know what I've seen too? Like sometimes in a trailer, like what you see in a trailer happens in the first like 10 minutes of a movie. Or like most of what happens in a trailer.
Yeah, sometimes that'll happen, but especially for like thrillers and horror movies and like action movies and stuff, I'm like, they showed too much.
Yeah, that's true.
And really, all I need like the tagline. I need like, Die Hard on a boat or
Yeah.
something, or one picture like
Yeah.
from a poster.
Right.
That's all I need. I don't need.
And hope. You need some hope that this movie is going to be good.
I always have hope
Okay. That's good.
for movies. That's it. Nothing else. But yeah, trailers are no good. I don't know. I'm not
Okay,
a fan.
interesting. Okay, so
That's a hot take.
Okay, that is a hot take. I'll be sure not to spoil anything for you then.
Yeah. Is it Squid Game? Squid Games.
No, it's Squid Game.
It's game because there's
yeah.
only one.
Yeah. For most people, there's only one. Except for the main character.
Yeah. All right, so that was our summer, but we also wanted to do something fun and work on something together, and so we also made
Stickers!
Yay! A new set of stickers. So the last time there was 3 of them. There was a punk rock pony, that was my favorite.
Yeah.
There was a space Djangonaut sticker where the pony was in like a rocket ship.
Yeah.
And there was a Jurassic Park sticker as well. So we had those 3 last time, and people really loved them. And you made 4 new ones for this new edition. What were the new ones that you made?
Yeah, so for the second edition of stickers, we made a mad scientist pony. We made a jetpack pony because, Django is batteries included. So we wanted to dedicate a sticker to that. And then we made a DJ pony because obviously DJ, Django, how can we not?
Exactly.
And then we made a Dracula pony for Halloween because, DjangoCon US was at the end of September, close to Halloween. So we wanted to do something spooky themed.
For this edition, I redesigned the website to kind of fit with that spooky theme. So it's kind of dark and there's like pumpkins everywhere.
Yes.
But yeah, and then you went to DjangoCon and you gave them out, right?
Yes, I did, and it was great.
So how long does it take you to design each of the stickers?
I think it takes about a week to design. The initial phase is sort of like brainstorming ideas and looking at other artwork online and seeing like what sort of style I want to draw this pony in. And then it's like sketching. So I might go through a couple of sketches. And then I take that and import it into Procreate. And then I start sketching out in Procreate. And then after I have like the final sketch, and sort of like along the way, we decide what looks good or not. And then finally the final version comes out where it's like the coloring and the shading and all that stuff. So I would say a week if I'm consistent with it. A lot of times, like I might start the sketch and not pick it up after like a month or a couple months. So it's, it varies like that, but probably a week.
It was pretty iterative for some of them. Like the Dracula went through a lot of iterations of like how the cape was gonna be. And I know you like move stuff around a lot and you gave the pony legs and you took away the legs. And you gave it's like, I think there's more to it than people realize about how much effort goes into those stickers and just making them fun and exciting and colorful. And they all turn out super great though.
And even when I gave the lightning talk at DjangoCon, I dedicated one slide to showing like the progression of one of the ponies. I think it's the Mad Scientist pony. And you can actually see in that slide like how many times I redraw the hair. There's a lot of iterations. It's sometimes a hard process, but also thank you, Adam, for, telling me if something looks good or not. I really do appreciate like other people's perspectives because that can really, make or break a sticker.
It's so fun to just work on something that's not just code and you get to see more of like what you're creating and it's neat to watch you go through that sort of like design process. So I don't do that much. You're doing most of it, but like I'm glad I'm here for the ride.
But last year though, like when we purchased all of the stickers and all the materials, you actually you assembled all of the sticker packs. So you did a lot of work.
Yeah, I was the manual labor, but this year you did all of it. So it'll be my turn next year.
Yeah,
if we
I'll ship everything to you. And I'll send you a stapler as well.
I think I have 3 staplers.
You do? Okay.
I'm good.
So you're prepared.
Thank you. Yeah. And we should shout out Django Day Copenhagen and the Django London meetup because they ordered a big batch of stickers from us already. Yes. And I know they gave them out during their meetup and the conference, and people love them. So thank you so much for getting those.
Yes, thanks a lot for your support. That means a lot to us. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about DjangoCon US 2024. I think, Adam, you were there, but you were just wearing your invisibility cloak, right?
I was there in spirit.
Yeah.
And also, I guess, virtually.
Oh, right. Yeah.
I did miss going in person. It was sort of a bummer that I couldn't make it there. I'm glad you got to go. And I did watch a bunch of the talks online.
For me, so this was my second DjangoCon, third conference overall. And I would say this experience was completely different than the first because I knew some people from last year, and I also got the chance to meet people in person after maybe befriending them online and talking to each other online. So yeah, I think I was talking to someone at DjangoCon. I said this truly feels like a friendly school reunion, like the good kinds, where you're really happy to meet everyone and everyone is super nice and friendly. So yeah, I think I really appreciated the community this time around.
Yeah, I mean, that's the best part of DjangoCon, right? Is that all those people are going to be there in person and you get to put a face to a name that you might just see online sometimes. So that's the coolest thing.
Yeah, I saw a couple of people and I know their face and then I had to look at their name tag, but I know them. And then as soon as we saw each other, we were like, oh, hey, how are you doing? So that was pretty cool. And it's really these human interactions that make the community so close-knit and so much stronger. So yeah, I can only imagine how people who have been attending DjangoCons for years, how they feel coming each time and reuniting with friends that they haven't seen for a while.
Yeah.
One thing that was cool this time was that I decided to stay at the hotel that the conference was held at, and a lot of other people stayed at the hotel as well. So that makes it just really easier to coordinate things like lunches and dinners together. And it was a great convenience staying right there because all the talks were right down there at the conference center. And when I woke up late, I wasn't that late because I just had to go downstairs and everyone was there.
So close.
Yeah. So on day one, I just want to give a shout out to some of the non-Django activities going on. So on day one, Rachel Calhoun organized a run group for some of the folks attending the conference. So it was 4 of us that showed up early on day one, and that sort of really helped calm my nerves because I knew that I was giving a lightning talk that same day. And so it was really great to meet other people who are also giving talks and also get some exercise in before the day started. So I really like that, and it was great. I've never done that at a conference, so this is my first time actually doing an activity like this. So I would definitely want to do more things like this at other conferences.
How long did you guys run?
Oh yeah, I think we ran like a 5K.
It's nice you sort of like calm your nerves a little bit, sort of get some of that energy out.
Yeah. And also connect with people because I didn't meet anyone prior to the conference. So meeting people, before the conference actually started kind of like put me in a good space to start. So at DjangoCon, there were lots of amazing talks this time. And actually the talks are now released on YouTube. So you can definitely go check them out. And all of the ones that we're going to mention, go watch them because they're all amazing. So I just want to highlight some of the keynote talks. So on day one, Sheena gave a talk about learning and basically aimed at teachers, how to be effective teachers, and also some of the principles for being effective learners and putting yourself in the right mindset to learn. That's so important in the Django community because a lot of what we do is mentorship and learning. So that was a really great talk. On the second day, Mario gave a talk about what it means to be a developer and other lies we tell ourselves. It was a really catchy title. And that was a really great talk because it really emphasized what makes us a developer. The idea of being a developer doesn't come in isolation. It's all about the context and the community that we're in. So that's a really great talk about identifying yourself as a developer, but also the multifaceted identities that we also have. Mm-hmm. So I love that one. And then the last day, Natalia gave a talk about the Django Fellowship, and it was called the Fellowship of the Pony, which I thought was so cute. And nice. It was also like Lord of the Rings theme, so that was pretty cool as well. And yeah, she gave a really good talk about like what exactly is the Django Fellowship? What does it mean? What are the challenges and responsibilities of the Django Fellows? So I definitely highly recommend that if you want to learn more about the fellows.
That part of Django is sometimes a little bit hidden. Like people don't understand that there are fellows who help with the release process and help the Django community keep things going. And not everyone knows that they're there. So yeah, exactly. It's great that she talked about it.
Sometimes as end users, like we don't care about who's maintaining Django, but just looking on the other side and her giving this talk and giving more transparency into that process, it was so eye-opening. And it's like, wow, there's a lot of work that goes into just maintaining Django and keeping it stable. People might think stability is boring, but it actually is a lot of work to keep things stable and backwards compatible. And that's one of Django's strong points is the stability.
Yeah, for sure. Last year when we were at DjangoCon, we did a lightning talk together and we kind of just like decided at the last minute and we threw it together and then we wrote out a script and then we went up there. But this time we had new stickers and I sort of talked you into doing a lightning talk.
You did?
And then I didn't go to DjangoCon.
And then you bailed? I'm just kidding.
But you did a great job. You had slides and they were awesome. They were better than anyone else's slides. Talked about making the stickers and the podcasts. How was the experience for you?
Oh, gosh. Okay. Every minute on stage, it feels like an hour. I will tell you that. And you already know that because we've done the lightning talk. But I think going on stage alone was a completely different experience. It's just that I think I applaud everyone who spoke or anyone who just went up on stage to do anything. It takes a lot of courage and guts. My experience was I was nervous. I had trouble breathing, as I'm sure maybe a lot of people also experienced, like, you're kind of out of breath. But I think it got better over time, like after the introduction and also like setting up all the, displays. So my laptop, everyone could see the slides. After all of that, I felt better. And I think it went okay. It was just, I was a little nervous in the beginning. I really appreciate people who have that public speaking skills because it definitely is a different skill set. Actually, in the Django community, Carlton Gibson gave a talk at this DjangoCon, and he was a very dynamic, energetic speaker. Like, he definitely like commanded the audience's attention, and he was definitely a great speaker. So I strive to be someone like that, but you know, it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, it's definitely a different skill, and I do think over time you get better with it, but it's like you can't stop yourself from like being scared. It's like a fight or flight, response.
Yeah.
I think for some people it looks like it's effortless, but I think they had to work on it a lot and build up the skills. And for them, they still might get nervous, but they kind of know how to push through.
Yeah.
I think it just takes a lot of time. Like, I don't think people are born to go up and do public speaking.
Yeah.
So I don't know how to get any better at it other than just to keep trying it and be terrified every time that I go up there and you try to speak without, stumbling over my words for a while.
Yeah.
You did great. You got up there. You took like a deep breath. You're like, okay.
Yes.
That's fine. That's, everyone's in the same boat when they go up there.
So does that mean that next year you're going to give a keynote talk at DjangoCon US 2025?
No.
You should.
They don't want me to.
You said you need practice, so...
Nobody wants me to do a keynote.
Okay. We'll see about that. Okay.
I have submitted talk proposals before, so we'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll submit a talk proposal.
Yeah, that would be great. One thing I really liked about DjangoCon this year was panel discussion at the end of day 3. So this year's discussion was all about shining a light on all of the communities within Django. They talked about Django girls, Djangonauts, Black Python devs, the Django fellows, and also organizing conferences and organizing events, and all of the different challenges and benefits and things that you learn from being in a community. So that was a really great discussion.
Well, and it's just another example of Django is not just the code. It is the people that are involved and the communities that are involved.
Yeah. One of the quotes that I liked from this panel discussion was about meaningful connections. And someone said, don't use these conferences as a networking opportunity. Actually want to, attend and make friends and make meaningful connections. And I don't mean to sound like, one of those reality Netflix shows about making meaningful connections, but it really is that. Like, we should all try to really make friends within the community. And the Django community makes that so easy to do because everyone is so welcoming and so kind. So Adam, you weren't there at the conference, but your projects actually got mentioned a couple of times.
I really appreciate that some of my projects were brought up. I think Django Unicorn was brought up. It's sort of an interactive component library for Django. You brought up Coltrane, which is kind of like a little mini app framework that we used for the Django stickers and the Django Brew website. And also DJ Angles was also brought up, which is kind of like experimental way to have more HTML in your Django templates. You can write template tags as HTML. Related to Django Unicorn, I should also mention that over the summer, I participated in the Djangonaut Space program. It was the second session, and I was the navigator, which is basically like the mentor for different mentees that are participating. And so I think most people know about the program, but from the inside, I thought it was very well put together. There's a lot of documentation. They make sure that people know what the schedule is, and there's a Discord where everyone is invited to, and you kind of can like ask questions, and that's how everyone keeps in touch with each other.
So how did you prepare these Djangonauts to work in Django Unicorn?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I've been trying to add documentation to help onboard new contributors. So that was part of it. I went through all the issues and started to group different feature requests and bugs and sort of like prioritize them, sort of like a project manager, which is an interesting experience because I don't really think about my projects that way. Oh, and I should work on this feature. And like people have been asking about, it's usually like I just work on whatever seems interesting at the time.
Yep.
But so that was really good, and I really appreciate that. I had 3 Djangonauts, and they were all sort of game to, jump into my code base
Yeah.
and try to figure out stuff with me. And even though it wasn't Django itself, and it was sort of a third party package.
Yeah, I think that's really great that once you have the right mindset and the right attitude, like you can tackle anything. And it was really great to hear that the Djangonauts were eager to dive in and start working on Django Unicorn. That's amazing.
Yeah, especially because there's backend Python code. There is a bunch of like internal Django things that you're not supposed to
To
touch,
do.
and I,
Okay.
and
Black magic
yeah,
Django
yeah.
things.
There's like a mini JavaScript framework as part of Django Unicorn for all the
Oh,
reactivity
splendid.
stuff. I do like weird stuff with like ASTs in Python. It's like
Uh-huh.
there's a lot of stuff going on.
Okay.
It's not super straightforward. It was awesome to have the help and people that I could sort of bounce ideas off of as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. Okay. I'm glad that Django Unicorn was featured in this program and you got some help in those areas. That sounds really awesome. So maintaining open source libraries is a great segue into talking about an open space that Tim and Carlton organized on day 2 of DjangoCon. There was a group that sat down and we discussed open source packages and specifically some of the challenges that open source maintainers face. So I thought, since you have a number of open source libraries and you weren't there, we can extend that conversation and talk a little bit about that.
That's one of the things that I don't think it was recorded, right? So it won't be on
Yeah.
YouTube, but I'm sad that I missed it
Yeah.
because I'm not sure if I have really wise words to contribute to the conversation, but
Yeah.
I wanted to hear what other people were talking about.
I was a little quiet, just taking in what everyone else was saying, but I think you would have really good insights on what are some of these challenges and how maybe you go about dealing with them.
What was the main topic of conversation? Was it around succession planning or adding features to open source projects, or was it something else?
Yeah, I think it was definitely all of those things. And also just the aspect of like transitioning a project and all of the sort of like soft skills that we don't even think about. Someone might start a project and it's a pet project and it's great. That project has a lot of people looking at it and a lot of people starting to use it. It grows into something that the maintainer maybe isn't prepared for. So the maintainer now has to shoulder that responsibility of making that project useful for other people. And I think that's where like we venture into that like the challenging part of open source
Mm-hmm.
software.
Well, and especially because a lot of these projects are sort of on people's nights and weekends, right? It's not their
Yeah,
day job. They're not
exactly.
getting paid for it. It's because they wanted to see it in the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes it grows into more responsibility than they realized, or people's lives just change. They don't have weekends free anymore
Yeah.
because, for some reason. And
Yeah.
I am curious what the conversation was around handling that.
I think we did speak about bringing on other people onto a project. And once you find people that you can trust that can help maintain the project, how do you sort of like start shifting over more responsibility from you to other maintainers? And when do you feel comfortable doing these things? When do you sort of like start handing over the torch and saying, like, okay, you can start merging PRs, making releases, and all of these things?
Right. This makes me think about Jazz Band or Django Commons, which is on the newer side, where the people who are involved in those organizations there to sort of give their 2 cents.
Yeah, definitely. Tim was there, and also Lacey was there, and this is what Django Commons is aimed at doing, and also Jazz Band about taking on a project and doing all of the things that an open source maintainer probably won't have time to do. They can still work on the project, just be more hands off at that point. And this also speaks to a project's lifecycle. At first, maybe a project might require a lot of features, and then once it becomes stable, there's less things to build. So then that might be a good opportunity to have one of these organizations adopt that project and have it get maintained by them.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the neat things about Jazzband and Django Commons is they help open source developers find other maintainers for their project, which is so important because some things are going to be sort of stable, like you were saying, but there's still maintenance that needs to happen. There's still going to be bugs. Nothing is ever perfect.
Mm-hmm. In that discussion, I also realized that there is no manual on open source maintenance. It's different for each project, and each maintainer has their own characteristics. And a lot of it is also personality driven too. Some people, there's a lot of soft skills involved when other people start contributing to a project. And we discussed a little bit about how do you deal with just the little things like maybe someone makes a PR and you don't quite think that you want to merge this piece of code in. How do you deal with that? So I'm curious, like you've had, people contribute to your projects. How do you deal with some of the challenges there?
Most people are very nice and they basically ask you before they make a big PR or work on a big PR. I haven't really had to deal with it too much. Mm-hmm. There's definitely been a couple PRs where it was not how I would have solved for whatever the problem that they were solving, but it wasn't wrong. It wasn't bad. It was just like any other code review that you would have at work where like sometimes you just, people have different ways to approach a problem. As long as it's solving the problem and I can understand the code and there are tests around it and it doesn't seem to break other things, then I'm pretty willing to add PRs in. I know that there are other projects where people will make a new feature and they'll be like I don't believe this feature belongs in this project. I've never had to deal with that, so I don't know how I would handle that situation.
I've heard that, the maintainer of the creator of Redis, he was pretty strict with making decisions and saying no to a lot of things, and that sort of like maintain the integrity of what Redis is today. So maybe there are some benefits to being adopting that sort of personality with being strict about what gets contributed to the project, but I can also see why in order for a project to grow, you need other people to contribute. So there's no right answer again. There's always like trade-offs between them. And obviously it depends on the scale of the project too, because Natalia's talk, she mentioned that the fellows, like they can't just take a PR, and even if it's a little thing, they can't just think about it as this small change. They have to think about like bug fixes and releases and what things are going to break. So you are like a guard to your project, and again, it depends on personality, but it's always subjective.
Yeah, I think the scale is a good point. I think for bigger projects that are more used, it probably does make more sense to be more conservative in what you accept and what you allow. For my projects, they're mostly for me and I love it that when other people use them, but like I'm building them for myself.
Yeah.
Primarily. I think I'm a little more lenient for what gets merged in, and send me PRs.
Okay, yeah. I'm going to send a PR where I put emojis all over your readmes.
Oh, I don't care about that. Yeah. That's fine. I already have a lot of emojis. Okay. But I do think some of this is also tied not just to scale, but also the maintainer's sort of ego and their sense of ownership about their code and about their project. And I can see how that would be hard for some people to let go of that.
I do agree with that because for myself, like I think with my projects, I tend to have a lot of ownership. I like to, I guess, be in control of whatever I put out. And I don't know, it would be challenging if something were to grow and then I would have to like, interact with a lot of people and work with a lot of people and sort of like let that go. So it's not only like the project's transition phase, but it's also like maybe a journey for the maintainer themselves. Like how do they deal with these things?
So it reminds me there's a life cycle for that companies go through where they start and they don't really know what they're doing, and then they get product market fit, and then they kind of know what they're doing, And then there's like these other times when they go through what's called like whitewater and like there's turbulence and stuff. And I feel like maybe some of these projects kind of have the same sort of life cycle where at the very beginning, it's just like, oh, I want to do a thing. And then I put it out into the world. And then some people start using it. And then they have their own ideas about how it should work and what should be added to it. And then maybe next in the life cycle is like other people get involved. And then, but like, I haven't really thought through this very much, but like, it does feel like there's, every time I start a new project, it's basically just like, it's me pushed out into some code form.
Right.
And then and then like something else happens and more people like jump in there.
Oh, a question for you then. Do you often feel like projects that become popular, do you think that you always have to remind yourself like the purpose of the project or what the project, what are the initial goals that the project was meant to accomplish, and always have to like bring yourself back in or reel it back in? Because if the project is sort of like morphing into something that doesn't align with that, have you seen that happen? And if so, like how did you deal with that? Or are there ways of dealing with that? Or maybe like on the other hand, like maybe a project turning into something that it didn't start off as is a good thing.
Yeah, that's where my head was going. For a lot of projects, you have to sort of iterate and pivot. And if things are moving in a new direction, that's okay. And usually it's a good direction. There are definitely features in Django Unicorn that if I was starting again, I would probably either not do or change. But I kind of see that as like
the journey.
And it's a journey, and like that's kind of things got added and now they're there. And if I really wanted to change it, I would like deprecate it and go through that whole process. But you know, for my stuff, again, I think it goes back to scale a little bit, where it's not Django sized. It's not used in the same way that Redis is used all over the, you know, in every tech company in the world or something.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't have to be so stringent.
Maybe Django has to maintain that. Django has to be that way and have these guardrails for it to be stable and backwards compatible. So it might not have that wiggle room as newer projects of a smaller scale.
Yeah, I definitely think that's true. There's a lot of talk right now in the Django community about the trade-off between core stability of Django and adding new features and pushing Django forward, and how we can balance those things. Because like you said before, like one of the real strong suits of Django is how stable it is. And we don't want to just add in new features for them to be deprecated in a year or changed, but there needs to be some sort of balance.
That reminds me of what Natalia talked about for adding new features in Django. It's really the community that decides what should get added, and larger features maybe follow like the depth proposal. And for smaller things, maybe things are prototyped as a third-party app. And if that app gets a lot of support, then that might be considered into getting added into Django Core.
That makes a lot of sense. You're seeing that now with the background task depth that got proposed and accepted, and there is a third-party package for it, and it's going to go into core. I'm super happy about that depth, because it's something that I wish had been there a long time ago. Yes. But there were third-party packages for that functionality, and I think over time the community realized that this is core functionality and it should be in Django.
Yeah.
I think everything is working like it should. I sometimes want things to move faster, but I understand the reason it's set up the way it is right now, and that there are a lot of benefits for the way it is right now. So
yeah,
it's all about trade-offs.
Yeah, exactly. So to wrap up this conversation, do you have a couple tips on how to make your package popular or sort of like more visible when it gets released?
Yeah, so I don't know about popular, but I do release a lot of packages. And a couple of things that I think about are a nicely designed README. So it doesn't have to be super fancy, but like throw a couple emojis in there, some like headings and subheadings. I think anything that kind of makes it visually interesting to look through and not just like a big wall of text, I think is important. The README should have installation steps. Ideally, there are screenshots or something visual that people can look at, or example code that people can look at,
Yeah.
just to make it more clear what they're getting by installing it. Oh, and I should ask you, you just released a new package recently.
Oh, yes.
How has
Yeah.
that gone?
I think it's gone well. Yeah, I think people really like it, and every day I'm checking the PyPy stats to see how many downloads each day, and it's been decreasing for a while. But I mean, it's still good. It's still getting daily downloads. But yeah, I
Nice.
really liked it. It's something fun to add to your Django admin site.
So, what does it do for your Django admin site?
So yeah, so the package is called Django Admin Dracula, and when you install it, it just updates the Django theme on the admin site. So there's a default light and dark theme. So it just overrides that and adds the Dracula, the popular Dracula theme that everyone loves.
And is it official now on the Dracula theme website?
Yeah, it is out. So you can go to draculatheme.com and search for Django or Django admin, and you'll see everything there. So yeah, it's official now. I'm really excited.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
If people haven't been to the Dracula theme website, they have basically what is like hundreds of
they have
apps.
hundreds. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like VS Code and iTerm and
Yeah, and
any
things that
app.
you don't even know about. Like I'm seeing, like, I look at the PRs for like people making new themes for things, and I'm like, what is this thing that you've made a theme for? I have no idea.
Somebody's using it somewhere. But that's so cool. It looks really good. You got screenshots in your README, so like
and emojis. Yeah,
you're a pro.
Yeah. Well, thank you.
So related to our spooky stickers and the spooky season that we are kind of sort of in, who knows when people will be listening to this later, but
maybe DjangoCon 2025.
Yeah, but we're still in spooky season as far as I'm concerned. So we should talk about some spooky developer stories.
Yeah.
All right.
I for sure have one. So, a lot of times when we talk about like scary developer stories, it's usually something that went wrong or something, a bug that went into prod or something. But this one is sort of like weird. It's like I actually don't know what was happening. So at my previous job, we used to use this like UI to schedule tasks. We had a bunch of servers that we used to schedule a bunch of like intensive like data jobs on. So there was one job that used to send an email at a certain time every day. I think it was like 11 in the morning. And for some reason, this email started getting sent out sporadically at different times of the day. And my manager and my manager's manager came to our team and they're like, why am I getting this email like every minute? And then it would stop and then I would get it like again in like an hour. And I don't know like what was happening. I think it might have been like probably like some sort of like zombie process.
Ghost.
Like something happening like that, because I double checked the job. It was sending correctly at the correct time, but something else was also sending that email. I have no idea. So I don't know.
I usually blame gremlins for that.
Yeah.
So, not the cute one, but like after they get like water on them and then it's like the guy with the mohawk. Those gremlins, those are the bad ones. And yeah, they like to send emails at odd times.
I know. And
drop databases.
It was so weird because like it wasn't getting sent to like one person, it was getting sent to like a random bunch of people that wasn't supposed to get the email. That was just another thing that was really strange. So yeah.
So do you think this is still happening to this day? They're still getting emails at weird...
Yeah. Probably.
Haunted forever.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't fix it before I left, so I think they're probably still getting this.
No one else is going to fix it.
Awesome. So do you have any spooky developer stories, Adam?
So when I was a junior developer, I was working on some code, and it was for the authorization system.
Oh.
And inadvertently, I made a couple changes, and inadvertently, I broke all the user signups, and I didn't know that I had broken it.
Oh my gosh.
And I pushed it out live. And like, I was so proud of myself because like I got code out on the live site and like, I thought everything was fine. And then like 3 days later, my boss came to me and was like, it looks like we haven't had any new user signups for the past 3 days. Do you know what's going on? I was like, no, that's your job. You need to figure this out. I'm just a little, developer. And so they were like, oh, well, we should look at what you last pushed out because it might be related. And I was like, no, it's not related. It's, everything is fine.
Everything's perfect.
And then we looked at the code and they were like, oh, it looks like for this particular, workflow or use case, it breaks. And I was like, what? And
oh my gosh.
I never got in real trouble, but I did have to fix it and then like explain to the CTO at the time like what had happened, and I had to apologize. But it was a good learning experience for me. It wasn't very spooky, I guess, but it was a good learning experience of just like sort of being humble, always assuming that your code is the code that actually broke production.
I think going through these things, you definitely come out like learning a lot and coming out with like, some battle scars that you will remember forever.
Very spooky.
So everyone knows that I am a huge fan of Cafe Bustelo. I really wanted Adam to try Cafe Bustelo, and I convinced Adam to buy a vacuum sealed brick of Cafe Bustelo and try it and tell me what you think. And I also tried your favorite coffee called Black and Bold, and we have tried each other's coffees and
we have tasting notes for each other.
We do, yeah.
Okay, so the Cafe Bustelo.
Wait. I want to hear your unboxing experience first. What was the experience like holding the brick and opening it?
First of all, it came from Amazon. Okay. And so I had to open up the Amazon packaging, which is a brown bag.
Yeah.
And then I slowly tore the top of the bag off. So the Cafe Bustelo comes in this vacuum sealed brick, and it is yellow, bright yellow. The packaging is actually awesome. Like the marketing is great. It's got like, I love Cafe Bustelo on it and things like that. To open it is sort of a challenge. Like in a regular bag of coffee, you just like take the top off and then it's pretty easy. But for the Cafe Bustelo, I had to like cut it with scissors, and then it like releases all the air that sucked into it. And then one thing I noticed is that it's really finely ground. So it's almost like espresso, like an espresso grind.
Yeah.
I was curious how that was going to play out. But anyway, so I brewed my Cafe Bustelo like I normally do. And it is definitely more robust and sort of, it has lots of flavor. And it reminded me of when I would drink like French roast coffee or like Café du Monde, which is like a pretty, hearty coffee. Yeah. So it was very similar to that. I do think if I had an espresso machine, I would probably use the Cafe Bustelo a lot to make espresso. But yeah, it was good. It's definitely a lot stronger than my normal coffee. So it kind of like made my heart race a little bit, like
yeah. But, you mean like make your heart race like when you like if you drop a database in production and you're like, oh my god.
Not that I've ever never dropped a database in production, at least for the last 10 years.
It just gives you the same feeling.
Yeah. It's like kind of live on the edge a little bit. Yeah. Drop this database and see what happens. Yes, drinking Cafe Bustelo is like dropping a database in production. They should have that on the packaging.
Yeah, they should. They should make one for devs and be like, this is what it feels like if you've never dropped a database in production.
This is a new marketing idea.
Yeah.
So don't tell
New
anybody.
angle.
But yeah, so I really liked it. It was good. Very different than my normal coffee. And that's basically it though. So Black and Bold, they have lots of different roasts and like single origins, so you can get it from a particular place. What's the one that you tried? I'm just curious.
Yeah, so I tried the darkest roast that there was. And I have to say, like, okay, so compared to Cafe Bustelo, I don't think it's like as strong or robust as Cafe Bustelo, but it definitely is. It's deep and it's smooth and it's not bitter. And it was definitely an enjoyable experience. I really do like it because I made what I thought was a strong cup, but it was very like smooth. I think because I always drink Cafe Bustelo, that's like very like definitely in your face. So I'm like, like this was okay for me. This is good.
Nice. So Cafe Bustelo is like getting punched in the face,
yes.
But the Black and Bold was like a light tap.
Yeah.
So I think the real question is like, would you buy another one, or you're just like Cafe Bustelo for life? I'm just gonna stay with what I know. Not to put you on the spot.
Gosh, that's okay. So I do really enjoy the punch that Cafe Bustelo gives you because I don't know. I just like living on the edge, and I will definitely try this one again, probably. But I think I might have to stick with Cafe Bustelo. Not to say that this wasn't bad. I do like this, but yeah, I think I'm a Cafe Bustelo diehard fan. So
I mean, you like what you like.
Yeah,
that's fine.
What about you?
No, I'm gonna stick with my.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I like that. We both tried each other's favorite coffees, and we're like, it's good. I like it, but I'm gonna stick with, with what I like.
I mean, yeah.
Wait, so you're not gonna like throw out the brick, right? You're gonna.
No. I'm gonna keep making it, but I gotta like.
Yeah.
Do
like
some
layered
time.
in.
Yeah, or like maybe just do a little bit at a time or something.
Yeah.
Or if special occasions, I'll make Cafe Bustelo.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Oh yeah, for sure.
That's my plan.
All this coffee talk is making me want to go drink some Cafe Bustelo like right now. What about you, Adam?
Yeah, I think I need to brew some coffee and write some Django code. I think
maybe. Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah.
We have a couple ideas for other episodes, so we're gonna try to record them a little quicker than last time. But it was the summer; we were taking some time off.
Yeah, we were super busy. We had a lot going on. So
yeah.
But we'll be dropping more episodes soon, so we'll catch you in the next one. Bye.
Bye. Welcome back to the Django Brew. Okay, what do we say? Welcome back to the Django Brew podcast. Welcome back to the Django Brew episode. I'm going to say that again. The Squid Game. Happy Halloween.
I can mute myself. Wait, let me just...
So we did a lot of stuff we didn't do a lot of stuff over the summer. Okay.
Spine tingling.
It sounds like a Dungeons and Dragons. It sounds like a sword from a fantasy novel. I was trying to make a joke.
You were asking me a question?
What was your question? I'm gonna have to edit that a lot. There's a lot of me like blah 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 blah.
No, I think it was good.
Django is Draculized.
Yeah, Dracularized. Django could never die now. No. But we need to work on that.
Yeah. Check it out. Okay, we're gonna start this all over again.
Dog-related drama. Yeah.
Anyway, you should watch Glow, I guess.
Thanks. Okay.
I know how much you love wrestling. Sponsored by Netflix, this whole thing.